have no idea what the fuck.
Welcome to another episode of I Have No Idea What the Fuck. And I literally have no idea what the fuck I'm going to talk about. But there is one idea. It's not fully fleshed out. I actually had quite a few ideas over the past few days, and I just kind of let them slip by because, I just wasn't in the headspace to really be recording another episode. But this time, I actually want to talk about something that I was going through today with a particular individual. I want to talk about jobs and why they don't work for me, basically. Excuse me. And basically, as I've been on my spiritual journey, people ask, how long has your spiritual journey been? How long has your spiritual journey been? It's kind of an annoying question because I just feel like I look back at my life and it just feels like a continuum of events that have shaped me and molded me into the man that I am now. But I did have a Kundalini awakening, the thing that everybody's after until they actually experience it. But I did have a Kundalini awakening in 2007, and ever since then, my development has gone at like breakneck speed. So as that process has been going on, I've been getting more and more attuned, finally attuned and more sensitive to what's going on around me and being in tune with things and testing my, psychic abilities or whatever. And, over a period of now it's been 14 years, it has been an incredible journey of recognizing that the system, the way that it has been structured, did not work for me. But because I was taught to have such low self-esteem and not trust my own instincts or intuition, it took me a very long time to kind of peel back the layers and see things for what they were. I always had the intuition that me trying to go about things the way everybody else was, it just didn't make sense for me. I got the intuition, yo, you don't have to do that. Gee, you don't have to do that. And, I said, well, then what the fuck do I do? And I didn't realize that I had to apply myself and I had to apply some effort, things that I was afraid to do. When I was, about 11 years ago, I was still living under my mom's roof. And, it's something that is slightly embarrassing to admit, but I was never really trained on how to, I was never prepared. And what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? I didn't have the self-esteem to pursue things that I actually wanted to pursue. Actually, I didn't really have a solid idea of what I wanted to do. So it was just like so many factors going against me to becoming like an individuated adult. And I had missed a lot of developmental periods coming up because, I was under an iron fist. But now I realize I'm no longer under that fist. I haven't been under that fist for over 20 years. I feel freer than I've ever been. I feel more happy than I've ever been. But I still have to, integrate some things. And so the little inner critic voice inside me, this tyrannical critic, this dude is not just, oh, you can't do that. It's not just something that, occasionally this inner critic says something. This dude is like on 24/7, and that's how deep the programming has got. And so I've manifested that inner critic as a bunch of narcissistic people who claim to like me but never really cared about me or never respected my boundaries, and I never had the wherewithal to set boundaries. And there's a particular incarnation of my inner critic now at my previous job, and I left because I can't work around a narc. I just can't. I can't try to make things work. I don't want to be constantly subject to that. So I decided to leave that job, and I've never been happier. I've been gone for about 2 months. I was called back for maybe like, a total of maybe 4 days. And then I just kind of left without warning. And lately I've been feeling the energy of the people that I worked with more today. And I was like, well, why is that happening? I'm not sure why that's happening. I even, saw my old boss's car go by me because I bike to and from town all the time. And I was just like, hey man, what's up? And it's one of those subcontractor jobs where people quit that shit all the time. And while I was definitely down, given that the conditions were favorable to me, I just saw, once I realized that I was working with a narc, and this person had actually helped me get the job. This person had helped me out a lot, helped me store my stuff, gave me money, paid for my food, all that stuff. And then when I realized that person was a narc, and I realized that it was all basically for a manipulation ploy and that I was just vulnerable, I immediately went no contact, even though I was still working there. I was still working at the job. The job was a contracting job, or a carpenter job, excuse me. We would like fix up old houses and shit. And once I realized that, I just went no contact with them, even though I had to like look this person in the face and deal with them every single day. I just ignored them. I just gave them mean mugs, ignored them because I didn't know anything else to do. And it started really bothering that person. The person created a fake argument. There was a fake explosion, and then the person, tried to manipulate it as if I was starting the argument or whatever. And I just said, okay, man, whatever. I was definitely a little upset, but I know the narcissistic tactics. My father did it, my brother did it, and I'm very aware of that, and I've done so much research into like their psychological patterns. Once you grow up and start getting some balls and some self-esteem, they're actually very easy people to deal with. You can shut them down very easily. But I want to talk about the inner critic, because the inner critic is extremely, man, that's a bitch. I never really acknowledged that as a reality of mine. I had heard of it. It's not like it's something that I was unfamiliar with conceptually. It was just something that I didn't understand was afflicting me. I thought that I was apart from it, but I was actually probably swimming in the deepest part of the ocean of tyrannical criticism, self-criticism. And it's crazy. Like you'll like with every situation, with social situations, with career endeavors, with just little ideas that you want to do for yourself, and you realize it just completely tries to knock you back for a loop every single time, and it is a bitch. It is a bitch dealing with that, because sometimes you just can't ignore it. You've been taught to believe the stories of the inner critic, and it's a matter of clearing out your belief system, taking back your belief energy from the inner tyrannical critic. I think that's what I'm going to title this episode, Taking Back Your Belief Energy. And I'm going to look over to the right here for a second, looking at my people that are watching me on TikTok. Hey, guys. Looking at some comments over here. Hello, that's cool. Lifetimes because we keep incarnating here. Yes, it's so freeing. Cool. I appreciate it. Okay, got an Aries in here, or had an Aries in here. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for commenting. I appreciate it. In the chat, let us know where you're from and what your sign is if I'm not familiar with you already. So basically, that's the story of like things that happen in my head, and I realize I just went through a huge purging process over the past week. And those that have followed me on TikTok, if you want my TikTok, it's G_aware_nerd_media. They have seen that I've been in like kind of a deep funk, and I've been just kind of turning that into kind of like content art. And I have a little series called damn, I forgot the name of the series, but it's about basically being an empath, and they're really cool, and they're just like my thoughts, my little thoughts, instead of me trying to appeal to everybody and trying to be this person on a soapbox. I just want to just be a human and just express my humanity and my silly, funky little thoughts, whether they're serious, whether they're funny, whether they're just musings. I just kind of want to do that for a little bit. I'll still be doing things like this, but these ideas are going to be more in this format, more in the podcast format. It takes a lot of energy to take a big idea, condense it into 1 minute, and then put all this editing into like 1 minute of TikTok. And it's just like, I'd rather just have that shit for my podcast, where I can just kind of free ball it, free flow it, throw out my ideas, throw the paint on the wall, and just let my mind flow and go. Excuse me. So basically, the way that I've been dealing with the inner critic is I don't, many people try to give you techniques, and I think that techniques are superficial. Belief and resolution with your own bullshit is profound and fundamental. I always try to attack it from that direction. And if I'm not ready to completely change that belief system, then I'll use maybe a little technique here, a little technique there, and I'll just, kind of take little baby steps. But there always comes a point when you realize that your bullshit is really stopping you from growing. Your desire to grow is more powerful than your desire to be safe. And so that's where I'm at. I'm not, it's not like that's where I'm at and I've never been there before. I'm going to be there many, 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 many times in the future. But this time right now, I'm just realizing like taking my power back is so empowering, because when you take your belief energy back, when you dive within and really go into the bullshit that you actually believe that yields this bullshit reality. Because I was feeling like shit for like a good week. And but I realized that, I'm doing my meditation, so I have some kind of, psychological space from those things that I believed. And I knew that it was something that I needed to purge, or that I was purging. So I just kind of watched it and I completely allowed it in, bro. I completely allowed it in. Usually I'm trying to fight it and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. I don't want that to come in. Then then, there's this, if you have like, an anxiety disorder or whatever, but you also are aware of the law of attraction, you're afraid of letting that thought affect you emotionally because it may come true. And the truth of the matter is there's still a time buffer between what we think and how it manifests, depending on how big the manifestation is. So there's still a little time buffer. So it's important to set the intention that, like, the law of attraction is about setting an intention first and then becoming emotionally involved with it. So what I tend to do is I set an intention that, okay, I'm going to do this shadow work right now. I'm just going to look at this information and I'm just going to completely allow it. There's something that I like to compare the art of awareness to, meaning in shadow work. In shadow work, what we do is we use the light of our own consciousness to basically allay, diminish, and dissolve, and then transmute the energy of bullshit that we've believed all our lives. And I find it interesting that a physical or a material parallel to that is literally when you put an electron microscope on existence. If you get small enough, if I put it on, this microphone in front of me, or this table that's right here, or you put it on this hat, it'll start to disappear if you get small enough. And then what you end up seeing is like just waves of whatever. You don't see the thing anymore. It's just waves of whatever. It's the pure form of it in terms of perception, because, I could get into a heady thing there, but you see the pure form of it. And that's essentially what you're doing in shadow work. You're putting an electron microscope, meaning the light of your own awareness and your acceptance, on the bullshit inside of you and what you believe, understanding that it's not serving you and understanding that you can transmute it. Once you put your attention on it and completely accept and embrace it as it is, without needing to tack a story onto it, meaning like, if I accept it, then this will happen. No. It's usually a story is an if then. If this, or a hypothesis. It's a, if this happens, if I accept it, then I'll manifest it. Or if I actually sit here with it, then I'm gonna die. It's like, that's a story. But if you take that story out and just say, I'm looking at you, kid. This is where it is. I'm just completely embracing you. And there are a lot of things you can do to prepare yourself to completely embrace those emotions, because emotions in the body are deeply, deeply, and I know I'm using this term incorrectly, but I think it drives the point home, but they're deeply, deeply hyperlinked. So basically that's what I was doing for like a week. And I was just like, I was in a space where I said to myself, I don't want to feel better. But that doesn't mean that I want to stay in this vibration. I just don't want to try to escape this. It feels like crap. I feel like crap. This is my belief. I just want to completely embrace it. And it was because of meditation that I did not fully identify with the negative emotions and the negative patterns that were coming up. I was just able to just kind of sit there and witness them. And then on top of that, I made it into art for TikTok for people to look at and enjoy. And it's so funny, the process of that. And I've just it's just pure instinct. I've gotten myself to the point where my whole process is instinctual. And now what I'm trying to do is subtly apply structure to my instincts by basically just using my body and using my somatic patterns somatic means body, by just using my body to implement certain patterns and not trying to impose them from the mind or from the intellect. Most people impose behavioral changes from the intellect without being connected to the information. You have to connect to the information on some level. Now, a lot of people, they just see what makes sense and they do it, and great for them. For me, I have to find out why it's emotionally important to me and why it's somatically important to me, why it's psychosomatically important. And so once I figure that out, and I just find one tiny simple thing to do, and I do it over and 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 over again. Once I gain confidence with that, I'll expand a little bit and maybe add one new behavior and then a new behavior. And that whole process may take 18 months, but the thing that people need to understand is that real shit takes years, period. And because people don't want to take years, because on average, we only live about 80 years. But this new age that we're going into, we're going to start living to be 120, 150, maybe even 170. So, I'm crossing my fingers, but truth of the matter is it's definitely going to happen. So once we start living longer, then we can start being at peace with taking 20 years to kind of crack a particular nut in our psychological awareness. But I also believe, and I'm going on a tangent here, but I also believe that certain technologies are going to come in, like sound technologies, light technologies, energetic technologies, vibrational technologies, that will wipe out those bullshit belief systems like that. They'll just wipe them out. And that's going to happen this century, very soon. I don't know if it's going to be in the next 15, 20 years, but that technology will be available, and it will be available for everyone. Just keep your minds sharp, keep your mind straight. So we won't need to, struggle with something for 25 years trying to figure out why. You just go, boom, this machine will assist you in transmuting that process, will get you in the right vibration, and then you're like, okay, you understand this, you understand the procedure, because we're going to have a whole new society popping off. So 2023 is, in my opinion, that's going to be the beginning of the new world, because Pluto is going into Aquarius in 2023. So Pluto is the planet of upheavals, of transformation. And Pluto is a societal planet. It is a generational planet. And Aquarius is the shake 'em up, shake fucking shit up sign. And it's particularly dealing with society and dealing with change and dealing with evolution. I'm not going to say revolution, because revolution means you're going in a circle. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. If you want to talk about spiraling, then that's a little bit better. So that's essentially how I deal with the inner critic. I want to do the shadow work. Sometimes it's a little massive to do the shadow work. It's a lot of emotional work. So the thing that I try to do is the superficial things I try to do. One, focus on another thing. If you want to let's say it was cold versus heat, and it's cold all around you, but you want to feel warm psychologically, meaning in your mind. This might not be the best example, but I'm going to say it anyway. You focus on heat in your mind, and you completely become obsessed with heat. Become obsessed with fire, become obsessed with heat, become obsessed with being warm. Don't even think about cold. So the cold is the critic, and the warmth is me feeling good about myself, remembering a time when I felt good about myself, becoming completely emotionally involved with it, becoming obsessed with it, and just not even thinking about what the critic is thinking about, is saying. And then it just completely disappears. I actually, man, I wanna see if I can juxtapose it. I might talk. I'm gonna talk about this real quick and see if I can maybe just put the footage in afterwards. So there's a movie or a mini series called Merlin that came out in 1998. I love it to this day. It is one of the most beautiful miniseries ever. The effects suck, but the story is so good and it's so on point. It's basically about a an old witch who recognizes that the old ways, meaning the ways of magic, the ways of fantastical happenings, are dying because people aren't believing in it anymore. Meaning the vibration of whatever realm they're in, we always assume it's Earth. Whatever realm they're in is falling. So that means that less possibilities are available, meaning magical possibilities are becoming more and more rare. So this magical queen of the she or the fae or whatever, she creates Merlin, and through immaculate birth, immaculate conception, she implants Merlin into a woman, a human woman. He's born by a human woman, and what happens is Mab is a total narcissist, so a sociopathic narcissist, totally. And Merlin is, he's not a perfect guy, but he's trying to do the right thing. And they have a war over several human generations, including Arthur's generation, King Arthur's generation, for dominance over the realm, basically. And Merlin wants to leave it to humans, and Mab wants to, all the humans to worship her, even though they're losing faith in her because that's what's been written. And at the end, spoilers for those who haven't seen it. So if you don't want a spoiler, just turn this off immediately. But this stayed with me forever, bro. It was the most powerful statement, message in any kind of media that I've ever seen, bro. At the end of it, Merlin and Mab have, by the way, the old witch's name was Mab, M-A-B. They have a final little duel, and her power is waning. She's still very powerful, but it's waning. You can see she's getting weaker. She's starting to breathe harder. And Merlin finally discovers, like, dude, you just been... Now it comes down to a point where he realizes, like, they have both attacked each other. They both lost a lot, and they really have nothing to show for it now. And Merlin realizes that. And now he realizes all that Mab is doing is just trying to get his attention so that she can still exist. Once he realizes this, he says,
"Now, Mab, I'm just going to forget you."
We're going to focus on something else. Dude, that stayed with me in my mind for decades. Literal decades. That was 1998. I was in love with that series. And guess what? They ignored her. They forgot her. They focused on something else, and she completely disappeared. And I realized a lot. That is like, I've repeated that so much on social media over the past 10 years, knowing that was the answer to all the, all the bullshit that people want to talk about, the clandestine elite that rule us. It's like knowing that if you truly understand your spiritual power, and you turn away and focus on something else and just give your entire attention to that, the old will disappear. And attention is subconscious attention as well, through the power of belief. Most people think, and that ties into quantum mechanics, that ties into, it's just like, it's a web of information that all ties together. That stayed with me, dude. And I might show that scene if you go back and watch the YouTube video. By the way, my YouTube is Gold Diamond Awareness. Gold Diamond with 1D awareness, and it's all one word. And I post video versions of my podcast there. If you want to see like exclusive podcasts that are a little bit too hot for TV, you want to go to my Patreon, and that's a whole other thing. But I'll definitely leave the Patreon link somewhere, either in this video or in the comments or wherever you are seeing this. But that deeply, deeply affected me. And that ties into my point. There's the inner narcissist, which is called the inner critic. And you have to train yourself on a superficial level to just put your attention on something else. On a profound level, to dig out all the bullshit or to shit it out, stop being so fucking psychically constipated, and letting go of those beliefs that empower that inner critic. That's the deep work. The superficial work is just saying, oh, I'm going to turn my mind here, you know, and, that also ties into, the toxic, people who are toxically positive just don't do the profound work. They're doing the superficial work, but they're not doing the profound work. Sometimes you hit a rut and you're like, okay, now I need to go deep. Now I need to go in the ocean and dig out all this crap. And then I'm going to come up and then I'll be positive again. I'll focus on the positive because now all that space is freed up for me to actually choose the positive. I'm not dragging an anchor of negative beliefs, self-beliefs about myself and trying to be positive in spite of that. It's like, no, I go and do the shadow work. I get rid of that anchor. I cut the cord to that. And now I'm free to look around and just choose the reality that I would prefer to live in. So anyway, I've been ranting for almost 30 minutes, 26 minutes. And I appreciate you guys riding with me. This shit is fucking awesome, this process. And I actually feel really good at the end of this. So I don't know if it's people on TikTok giving me so much good energy or I think it is. That's every time I go live on TikTok, there's people giving me a bunch of positive energy. And I'm so in gratitude of that. And then also the topic, the directions I went with this topic, this concept also excite me. But anyway, I'm going to cap it off here. And when I do the edit, I'll probably add in that scene. And it's only like a minute long, maybe 2 minutes long. And that's pretty much it. All right, you guys, much love. Peace.